What's good? MikeO from Let's Talk About It. Hit that subscribe button. I appreciate the support in advance. So, want to give Tank Davis a deservingly round of applause for this past weekend's performance against Frank Martin. Delivered a 8th round knockout. I thought it was going to happen in 10, but great performance. And I really want to give props to what he did from the beginning since this fight was announced to the end of the fight. You know, this version of Tank Davis to me looked a lot more fun. He looked a lot looser. His interviews were a lot better. I think he did everything perfect leading to this fight, including giving a good performance, like I said, with the 8th round knockout. Now, I don't think that the pay-per-view sales sold like they expected or wanted to, but I don't think Frank Martin is a household name and would maybe create enough buzz for this to be a big fight. Devin Haney, he's no Devin Haney, he's no Ryan Garcia. Those two fighters generated a lot more revenue than this fight would have, and it makes sense why that is. However, with that said, I still give him props. He did a great job promoting this fight. He gave great interviews, which led to a great performance. So you shouldn't ask for much more from him as a fighter. They can work on trying to do better at promoting or setting up a bigger fight, which we'll get into later. Now, the only issue I had with Frank Martin is that I don't think that he was prepared to fight at 135. I think the 12-pound hydration clause really played its part in this fight. To me, his face looked sunken in, and he looked like he just didn't have enough energy to last 12 rounds. To me, after the 4th round, he looked a bit gassed. Before that, he was circling the ring, throwing punches, and it started to slow down around the 4th. I had him winning the first 5 rounds, but then after that, it just looked like he stopped running, and he had to face that man in Tank Davis, and he was getting punched, which eventually led to that uppercut, and he got his back dirty, and he couldn't recover from that. Now, you may want to know as far as, who should Tank Davis fight next, or who should Frank Martin fight next. Let's talk about Martin first. To be totally honest, because I think that Frank Martin is going to have to probably move up to 140. I don't think that he can handle the weight at 135 anymore. Happens to a lot of fighters at 135. And I'd like to see him fight Devin Haney. I think that it would be a good technical boxing match. I don't think either fighter has strong knockout power, but I think both fighters are very technically sound at boxing, and I think it would lead to a pretty entertaining fight. But if Frank Martin moves to 140, sky's the limit of who he can fight. There's a lot of talent at 140 that he would be able to fight against. Now, when it comes to Tank Davis, it's a little different. I don't think Tank Davis right now has the size to move up to 140. I don't think that would be a smart decision for him. I think he should stay at 135 for at least another year or two, and hopefully, fighters at the 130 would eventually move up to bring some competition. But as of right now, until that time comes, there's only 2 fighters currently at 135 that would make sense for Tank Davis. And that would be Shakur Stevenson or Lomachenko. I personally would want to see him fight Lomo first. And I'd like to see more of a build-up with Shakur. I honestly think if Shakur can get his popularity somewhat near the same level as Tank Davis, it could lead to a mega fight. And it'll be a fight that a lot of people will want to see, especially at 135. but I would still like to see him fight Lomachenko first. I still think it will be an entertaining fight. Lomo is a bit older, but he's a top 3 fighter at 135. And part of the criticism of Tank Davis is that he doesn't fight anybody. They say his resume is light. So, possibly with him fighting Lomo, it would build up his resume, build up his popularity. And then, like I said, hopefully Shakur can do the same thing as far as fighting some quality fighters that try to get his name up. And I don't see him moving up to 140 either anytime soon. So, I think these 3 fighters at one point are going to have to face each other. But, you guys let me know what you think. How did you think this fight played out? Did you have Tank winning before the knockout? I seen a lot of people's scorecards and they had Martin winning this fight before the knockout. And to me, I thought that Tank did what he needed to do. He did what he usually does, which is very Floyd Mayweather-like, in my opinion. It takes Tank a couple rounds to figure you out. And once he does that, it's usually a wrap. Not even usually, it's a wrap. He's undefeated. I think in this case, I think that Tank fully knew that the hydration clause was going to impact Frank Martin's stamina and his win. And I think he took advantage. And you could see he kept the pressure going, kept standing in front of him. And he was initially letting Martin get his shots off. Martin would run around the ring to avoid the shots. And after time, his strength started to weaken. His speed started to slow down. He started to become an easy target for Tank Davis, which led to a knockout. But again, who do you guys think that both these fighters should fight next? Who would you want to see Frank Martin fight? And who would you want to see Tank Davis fight? Who do you think will win between Davis and Lomo, or Shakur and Davis? I personally think Tank can beat both these fighters. I think that Lomo would be probably more of an exciting fighter right now as to Stevenson, because I think Shakur Stevenson is really a dominant defensive fighter, which could lead to him more eluding than throwing. But that's just my opinion. You guys let me know what you think. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I am out.